We do propose that we have proper coordination, stakeholder participation, and as we go on each sector to prioritize possible response in terms of prime urgency, life-saving interventions, and immediate recovery and livelihood activities. We know that preparedness activities have begun, but should also continue seamlessly throughout the rainfall season and even after, so that we address the post-El Nino periods. And we look forward to community preparedness through communication, early warning. And Your Excellency, I know at the end of this, we will have a good coordination and a focal point and framework of planning and coordination at the two levels of governance.
I thank you all for honoring our invitation to this strategic meeting today. It is a foresight meeting. We are not preparing to respond to the El Nino expected disaster. Rather, we are consolidating and refining coordination strategy for mitigation. Unlike the past, we are saving lives and livelihoods before tragedy strikes. That is why this convening is critical in streamlining our actions as opposed to disjointed reactionary measures. While it is the responsibility of government to protect life and livelihoods, inclusion of partners offers well-thought-out actions for better results. This was evident in the last few months when we worked together in fighting famine and drought. I must admit that I was privileged to chair the National Emergency Response Committee that dealt with the worst drought in 40 years, and to the credit of the people in this room and other partners, we are so proud that we didn't lose a single life despite having the worst drought in 40 years. I want to say pongezi. Excellencies, distinguished guests, the weather forecast indicates that more than 20 counties across the country may face one of the heaviest rain seasons in decades, starting the month that is just about to end, and we have been told all counties. Indeed, as can be confirmed by governors and our regional commissioners present, several parts of the country are already receiving rains beyond usual quantities. This will intensify and extend up to early 2024. Some of the counties that have been identified as possible areas of El Nino include Siaya, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Migori, Kisii, Nyamira, Baringo, Uasin Gishu, Elgeyo Marakwet, Nandi, Kericho, Bungoma, Kakamega, Busia, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot, Vihiga, Laikipia, Murang'a, Nakuru, and Narok. As you may have noted, these counties are either in the Rift Valley or west of the Rift Valley. These regions are home to more than half of the country's population, which therefore means that with other hotspots identified across the country, El Nino will be devastating if we fail to plan properly. The English say, failing to plan is planning to fail. I don't think any of us in this room want to get caught up in that situation. Excellencies, distinguished guests, our children are preparing for national examinations while their parents are readying to harvest. The business community is crossing the country in rebuilding the economy as the government implements massive infrastructural projects for better service delivery to the people. All these and more other undertakings will be interrupted. After a prolonged drought of almost 40 years, the worst in 40 years, we do not wish to lose lives and livelihoods. We do not wish to see the 1997 El Nino situation, which more than 1.5 million people were displaced and negatively affected. We must safeguard the gains we have made since the rains commenced. That is why we must prepare properly together as one. We note with appreciation that some counties and partners are already establishing structures of mitigating possible impacts. In particular, I wish to urge counties including Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, among others, to give priority to cleaning and unclogging the drainage networks. We also recognize that with the expansion of our towns, we have not matched drainage systems as required. As a matter of urgency, we request counties to prepare artificial waterways. This will include surface runoff and risk of flooding, more so in residential areas. On this note, allow me to also draw your attention to mapping out burst or non-functioning sewage systems. They are a health hazard at this time. The national government administration teams are ready to work with counties to prevent spillage or service runoff. El Nino is beyond county governments. El Nino is beyond the national government. El Nino is beyond our development partners. That is why we must work together by leveraging our diverse capacities in technical and financial resources. A synchronized strategy will offer a methodical implementation matrix of the mitigation measures which we are refining today. One of the key components of our strategy is sharing of information between our teams as gathered from early warning systems. We also agree on execution of duties and responsibilities for a shared win during and beyond El Nino. Excellencies, distinguished guests, let me take this moment to also address our people, the Kenyan people. I wish to start by assuring them that a lot has been going on in the background in preparation of the expected abnormal rains. Today's meeting is a comparison of notes with our partners for better response and, most importantly, mitigation in the event of emergencies. It is very important for us, Kenyans, to take measures to reduce the negative impact of these rains. That is why we are appealing to those living in low-lying and flood-prone areas to move to higher grounds. On the other hand, we would like to urge our farmers, especially those with grains to harvest, and store their produce early, and where possible, sell to those who are willing to buy. This will minimize post-harvest losses. Further, we also request Kenyans to be proactive in reporting cases of emergency through officials and other channels that would be making public. In this regard, we invite the media to work with us in timely dissemination of information for the public to remain safe. Excellencies, distinguished guests, while we strive to build resilient structures, the rains are an opportunity also to grow more trees. His Excellency President William Ruto is leading the nation in planting more trees towards meeting the 15 billion target by the year 2032. Improving forest cover will reduce the negative impact of climate change by stabilizing weather and countering events such as landslides and mudslides. We encourage our farmers in the less flood-prone areas to grow food. After the El Nino, we still need food. On this note, I invite all of us to this convention and look forward to a solidified march to mitigating the possible impacts of El Nino. Asanteni sana. I'm very grateful for the governors who are here for coming to work with us together. As I said when we were dealing with the drought, why we succeeded in not losing a single life during the worst drought in Kenya's history, it was because of the coordinated nature of approaching that crisis by the county governments, the national government, our development partners, our international humanitarian organizations working together for a common cause. And because our regional commissioners are here, for the purposes of emphasis, again, let me remind you so that you can continuously remind the county commissioners, the deputy county commissioners, the assistant county commissioners, chiefs and assistant chiefs, that though we have two levels of government, we all serve the same people, the people of Kenya. And the two levels of government are not in competition. They complement each other for the common good of the people of Kenya. So let our national administration officers work very closely with our county governors and the administration so that we can serve our people better. I've always said that in my community there is a saying that buffaloes don't move in a herd because they like each other. Why they move in a herd is the danger of moving alone. They get eaten by the lions when they move alone. So let us all work together for the common benefit of the people of Kenya. We harmonize our strategies, we reach out, we consult, and we pull resources together so that we can be able to deal with the expected challenges that will come with the rains. I want to give the government's commitment that we shall apply all resources at our disposal, including the Kenya Defense Forces. The Minister for Defense is here. The National Youth Service is a reserve army for the country when there are challenges. The National Youth Service will be available to help the counties that have cities and towns in cleaning and unclogging the drainage system so that we don't have a big problem in our cities. We have had a very big problem in Nairobi. We had a big problem in Nairobi in 1997, and we lost many lives. And again, we ask Kenyans not to be very adventurous, because the Director General of Meteorological Department said some people are daredevils. And we saw that in 1997. Some motorists are impatient. They want to drive through raging floods, and we lost many lives in 1997. In the press, I also want to make a special appeal to you to assist us and to be our partners in this matter by giving the right messages and again going out of your way to educate the people of Kenya on the possible dangers of doing this against that, so that those who are on low grounds can move to higher grounds, those who are on very slopy terrain can be able to move to areas where they are safe. The media will be an important partner in this matter by giving the right information, by continuously calling out the people of Kenya and keeping them informed on the likely dangers and what they need to do so that they stay safe.
We have dealt with the emergency area and we distributed food to 200,000 people across the country, or 200,000 households, which is almost 1 million people, reaching 32 counties who have benefited. Some of the governors who are here will associate with the work that we have done. Of course, we've done it in consultation and in collaboration with a number of stakeholders, including the Red Cross and also the NDMA and also the Ministry of ASAL, because most of the areas that were affected were ASAL areas. We have now pivoted into the area of water management and infrastructure through this partnership with the KDF and the Ministry of Defense. assessed about 500 boreholes, prioritized 360 boreholes across the country, which need repairs, some of them very minor repairs, but also others some significant repairs. We are continuing now we are commencing the work, or at least have started to commence the work, and given El Nino, we'll prioritize those areas that are low risk, El Nino counties, but also ensure that we complete them as quickly as possible in anticipation of what impact El Nino will have. We've also started to do the work with the KWS in the national parks. We'll be sinking about 10 boreholes to support the Kenya Wildlife Service, which were affected during the drought, including tanks in the Savo ecosystem. We are inviting partnerships. We are collaborating with Millennium Water Alliance and also USAID, who have been very, very gracious to adopt some of the boreholes. They have agreed to adopt 78 boreholes, which is very significant. In Garissa, in Wajir, Turkana, Isiolo, and Marsabit counties. We will be encouraging others to come in and adopt boreholes because we have a framework that works, in addition to the work that we've already done. We've also started to receive support from others, including the government of Brazil, who have donated $100,000 in the form of tanks and water storage, which will work with schools to see if we can be able to deliver that through and working together with the World Food Program. So there's a lot of partnership, Your Excellency, both within the institutions that are involved in the National Drought Steering Committee. Remember, the National Drought Steering Committee is to complement the work that the government has been doing and also the development agencies have been doing. Now, switching over to El Nino, clearly there has been a lot of information that will be given today of immediate interest to us, both as CEO of Safaricom, but also some of the members of the steering committee, including the Media Association. We are happy to support with respect to early warning, communication, sensitizing, working in particular with the relevant ministries, particularly the CS ASAL. We have a lot of experience in this area, especially having dealt with, as the head of Red Cross has said, having dealt with this in the past in various parts of the country. The second area that we need to think about is the water management aspect, and that's why we will continue with the borehole project, which is a very critical enabler of both preserving water going forward, but also ensuring that we deal with the consequence beyond El Nino, because we know that drought will continue to be a major challenge in the future. So, Your Excellency, we are here to support all the initiatives that, any initiatives that we have the capacity to, and as Safaricom, I can commit that we are ready to support, especially the early warning signs, which early warning support communication through flash messages and so on, that really are life-saving in many ways if they are delivered on time and if they are coordinated across the ministry.
Here's the irony of this messed up reality under the climate emergency, that we're actually talking about the potential for flooding at the same time that we recognize that the drought emergency is not over. So both of those things together continue to put the emphasis on resilience programming and long-term action. Even as we look at the potential risk of disaster from flash flooding, the kinds of heavy rains that the country has already been seeing, we also note that that is water that we urgently need to capture, to continue to protect us going forward, particularly in the ASAL counties. So we need to be thinking, as Peter said, not only about borehole restoration, but about digging water pans to capture that water as quickly as we can. And that's a very low-cost way that we can get ready for when the rains are no longer there again. And finally, that we look at being ready to adapt the programming that we already have on the ground in real time in function of the kinds of emergency that the early warning and alert system will give us.